The alarming rate of human trafficking in Nigeria poses a threat to the well-being and development of our society. Research reveals to us that over 21,000 persons have been trafficked from Nigeria alone since 2015, most of which were trafficked to Italy. However, unreported cases are on the rise as there is a huge problem aided by poverty, hunger, and illiteracy. In collaboration with the media, both traditional and online, and civil society organizations, Clean Foundation organized a roundtable discussion on human trafficking and forced migration in order to mitigate and arrive at solutions to the challenges. Facilitators who spoke at the event, Ms. Soyam Osakwe, an advocate who spoke on building effective communication strategies and investigative skills in curbing human trafficking and forced labor, while Barrister Emanuela Asu spoke on enhancing the capacity of the media to advocate against forced migration and trafficking. Interactive sessions were held involving the media and civil society organization attendees who mapped out an action plan that will be used in tackling the issues. Legal Officer Clean Foundation Fiki Obaru, who led the action plan, spoke about engaging media editors and the training of reporters on how to report human trafficking cases, with establishing a platform that issues will be looked at and worked on. We, however, asked the opinion of some Nigerians on the issue, and here is what they have to say.
The Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTI, Dr. Fatima Waziri Aziz. As you are aware, NAPTIP is the federal government of Nigeria's focal agency in the coordination of anti-human trafficking activities through its five-pronged strategy of policy, prevention, which speaks to capacity building, advocacy, awareness creation, and research, protection, provision of services to victims, survivors of 2IP, persecution, arrest, investigation and prosecution of suspected traffickers, and of course, partnership. A cursory search on human trafficking from Wikipedia, just Wikipedia, will tell you that Nigeria is not just a source, transit and destination country for human trafficking. You will also be informed that in 2016, out of the 181,000 migrants reported to have arrived Italy through the Mediterranean, Nigerians accounted for 21%. Can we do the maths? Out of 181,000 migrants who entered Italy in 2016, Nigerians accounted for 21%. A simple math will tell you that we had 38,010 Nigerians entering into Italy through the Mediterranean. This is just to indicate how much of a problem we have on our hands. Over the years, the agency has identified that the only way to effectively tackle human trafficking and irregular migration due to its multifaceted nature is through strong, coordinated partnership. NAPTIP owes her successes to the level of cooperation and support extended to the agency by both national and international NGOs and CSOs. Of course, I'm standing here today, why? Because Clean Foundation stretched out a friendly hand to us. I have Rokon here, who's a major partner with us. I can't just start listing all of you one after the other, web of heart, but we're here today because of all of you. Now, I must also point out that this great working relationship extends to these CSOs holding the agency accountable and providing pressure where needed to ensure service delivery to our clients and the Nigerian public. So it's not just all smiles, Abby. All right. It would be folly not to recognize the immense importance of the media if we are to effectively tackle human trafficking and irregular migration in Nigeria. Oftentimes, many identify prevailing socio-economic situations as key push or pull factors that lead to the continuous proliferation of human trafficking and irregular migration. However, a closer look paints a picture of ignorance. Lack of key information that would ordinarily have protected a migrant from being vulnerable to any form of exploitation. Permits me to specially thank the Clean Foundation and UN Women for their partnership, especially in the areas of capacity building and execution of projects aimed at preventing the continuous proliferation of human trafficking, forced migration, and promoting gender sensitivity. Dear partners, this might have been called a round table, but be advised that it is not going to be a talk shop, but an opportunity for us to consider some of the challenges in the execution of our duties and provision of necessary services to victims of human trafficking, and also proper smart solutions. The goal here is to build a coordinated system that will help us record even more success stories as we strive to give victims of trafficking another chance to life. I must once again commend the Clean Foundation for this timely intervention, which I believe will strengthen participants' commitment to contribute their quota in the anti-human trafficking cause and go a long way in changing the narratives. Before I take leave of you, please, this is a brief rundown of possible areas of collaboration we could explore. We've been exploring some of these. For the NGOs and CSOs, please, awareness raising and community economic development activities as part of CSO efforts to prevent trafficking in persons. You work in the communities, you know the communities. Most of the times the stories we've been saying is don't go, don't go. Many people will ask you, if I don't go, what next? So we're asking, as you're working in the communities, you can actually identify areas where the communities could build themselves. Then, provide support and assistance to help protect victims. Assist law enforcement agencies, especially NAPTI, by providing information and evidence of suspected trafficking activities in your communities. Provide legal assistance to victims. I've seen an NGO that works with legal. Please, you can actually provide legal assistance to victims. Provide a supporting role on rescue and arrest operations, including assisting with sensitive oversight and care of victims on the day of their rescue, and accompanying them to the police station, the hospital, or any temporary shelter which they will be housed immediately following their rescue. There are times you might rescue and nothing is not close by. So these are some of the ways you can help a victim. Assist and support victims to reintegrate into their communities by providing grassroots interventions and developing innovative reintegration models that place victim empowerment at the core of the aftercare system. This helps them and helps the community to also accept their children when they come back. Advocacy networks.
People are exploited. Well, these conversations are not brought to the fore. If the media is not talking about them in a way that people understand what it even means. You know, many people don't really have the understanding of, okay, some people just think, okay, people want to leave the country, so they are going. People don't really have an idea how people are moved from one place to another. And this is where my people in the media are coming. I study communications too, so I'm fully aware that our media people are agenda setters. They determine what's important at every given time. They determine what we are talking about. For example, if the media chooses for the next 1 week to talk about stories, success stories, for example, how people were caught, success stories regarding advocacy and human trafficking, forced migration. You realize that, okay, these conversations filter to social media and other platforms. And before you know it, you are seeing mothers sending WhatsApp messages that, don't go outside, the people are being taken. You know, these are how conversations get started and we move from one phase to another. But when there's no attention given to it, you realize that, okay, it doesn't really look as if we're making much progress. So we're going to go into a group session quickly. But before we do that, I just want to speak with how. We have media on various levels. We have radio, we have TV, we have internet, bloggers, whatever, social media, just various newspapers. Now, at your level, you may say, oh, but how do I interact with the media to get all of this done? I'll start by telling you, one thing you should never do with the media is to try and use them journalists don't like to be used. Journalists are your partners. You need them. So it's a case where they need information. Somebody mentioned statistics, I'm not sure who, and data. So if we have a case where in 2016, over 31,000 people migrated, were trafficked to Italy, that's information that maybe the media did not previously have. And we could build a story on. We can talk about, we're talking about, we're saying up to, is it 21% we said? Yeah. 21%. That's enough for a journalist to run through and say, okay, so where were these people from? What was the cost? Why were there so many numbers? Okay, so what happened in 2017? Can we compare what happened in 2016 and 2017? What has been, have we had a situation where there is a spike? For example, what have we seen in 2021? Okay, but what happened in 2013? Is that also the case we are seeing here? Or maybe you notice that, the case is reduced in 2020, so you're like, okay, maybe it's the just different things. Journalists are very curious people, they need information, they need data. So these are areas where you can collaborate, these are areas where you can partner, and don't be, don't be afraid or ashamed or discard the media. They are such an important aspect of your work. You can do all this wonderful work at the grassroots level, and then, well, no one knows about it, no one is talking about it, nobody knows that, a particular community where you work, that 5 girls from the same area, and there's a pattern to these things. So you need to work together with media. We'll just go quickly into the group discussion, and we'll be in 3 groups. We can just quickly, so number 1, group 1, and 3, use this case as a means to alert the general public to the dangers of human trafficking and forced migration. Let me break it down. Don't worry, you're not doing PowerPoint. But what you're doing is brainstorming. This is just one in many cases. And you need to come up with, okay, so which media are you going to use? How do you even contact the media in the first place? What are you saying to the media? Because remember, you want to protect the identity of the survivors or the victims in this case. You also want to ensure that the media persons or the journalists you're working with, they have enough information to do what they need to do. You want to use this case as a means to talk about human trafficking. Because sometimes maybe...
Want to know my name? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Uchechi Chukwuma. I'm a professional and practicing psychologist. So we are here today to talk about trafficking. Why somehow we're so particular about trafficking is because of the psychological impact it has on returnees. I've been working with returning migrants. Some of them have different kind of experiences. And one thing that has become so common is that when they come back, the stigmatization is always something we have to talk about. And it's so appalling that most times this starts from their family. Because we have cases where you call a family to tell them that their child is in your shelter, and they tell you don't have a child like that because they don't want to be associated with such a child. We have to understand that this is a human experience that can happen to anybody. If your child is lucky it didn't happen to him or her, don't stigmatize the people that have gone through that experiences. Because as you're doing that, it has an economic effect on our economy. Because if that person cannot get grips of his or her psychological health, it will be difficult for them to be reintegrated back into the community. And we also encourage parents, please, make sure you have a good relationship with your child so that when people are telling them things, you will be the best person they will come and share it with. Because most of these children, you find that they have a disconnected family where they can't basically tell their parents the information their friends or other people are giving them outside. So I think we have to go back to parenting, because if our home front has a good foundation, there is no way your child will do anything without telling you. And because you are a parent, the tendency that you will find out that that information is not the truth is high, because experience actually plays in here. So psychologically, when they come back, we have cases of trauma. And please, we are begging, when it comes to trauma, you cannot dictate to people how they are going through. Healing is a personal experience. The best you can do for them is to be understanding, love them, encourage them, give them enabling environments for them to pick up their life and come back a What this is basically about. Thank you. Okay. Sincerely, being a CSO that works with some government agencies, I would say they've been doing very well because we partner with them in a lot of things. But I keep on saying when it comes to trafficking, let us not focus on the government. The CSOs have the major work to do. How many government agencies are involved in trafficking? But we have a lot of NGOs. And remember, most times government is in the federal environment. Where are the CSOs in the community? They are the people that know these people, that have personal relationship with them. So I think the attention should be diverted from the government to the CSOs in the local community that understand their community peculiarities, like the issue we discussed in the training where we talked about developing programs in local languages. Because if you're speaking English, some old people may not understand you. But if you can relate with them in their local language, it makes it personal. It will be easier for an old woman of 70 to understand what is going on when a grandchild under her care is about to be trafficked. So and the relationship should be all-encompassing, where we have the government, the CSOs. Everybody should be involved because trafficking has economic impact, whether you like it or not. Because you're moving human beings that are meant to grow the country. And they are going to a place where they cannot maximize their potential. So I think it's something, even the media, please, we need you more. Because you are the ones that will be telling the world what is going on. Thank you. Yes. Identify.
Like, how can they live above stigmatization? How should they heal?
Okay, that's what I said. Healing is a personal experience. When we talk about trauma that people experience after issues like this, there are a lot of reasons why they are trafficked. Some of them are exposed to sexual exploitation, labor, and every other thing. Some of them, when you hear their stories, you won't believe they are human beings and they could take it and they are still existing. So the truth is, stigma is something about in this country. And that is why people are dying in silence, because in this part of the world, we always attach circumstances to people. And we don't understand that I had this experience doesn't mean this is Uchechi Chukwuma. That is an experience which is a full human being that needs help to be able to. And the truth is, when you try and it cannot work, please, that's why we have psychological services. NAPTIP and other government agencies have departments for counseling. You can take such a child to that kind of environment, professional help, and be able to have attention. Okay, my name is Uchechi Chukwuma. I'm a psychologist. Yeah.
Okay, so the problem with human trafficking is that we're not talking enough about it. And that's why we're here today, to talk about how CSOs can collaborate with the media. Because we know that the media is a powerful tool. And when the media is used appropriately, we're driving conversations at different levels. The problem with human trafficking is that, it cuts across various issues: poverty, corruption, gender inequality, ignorance. So our goal is to engage stakeholders at various levels, from religious leaders, for example, telling them that, look, in those communities where you pastor, where you worship, those communities where you lead, there are vulnerable people there who are just, who may not have the right information and who may be, for example, be trafficked, or who may be lured into traveling abroad to do something. So when the media raises conversations around trafficking, around abuse, around exploitation, we're able to move the conversation from point A to point B, where it now gets to policy. So the goal of this entire interaction today is we want CSOs to understand that the media people, journalists, are their friends. They are not we're not rivals. We're not. We're not. This is a situation where you can't do your advocacy work in silence. You need the cooperation. You need the information. You need to push this conversation to the front burner so that policymakers can begin to pay attention and make laws that protect our young girls and women.
There's one thing to engage, consistently engage. What's the plan?
Okay, so consistently engage. I think you are totally right, because if you just engage, then it's not sustainable. But when you're talking about consistency, you're talking about a plan put in place where, for example, you can have like roundtable discussions like this, whether you're talking about it monthly, talking about it, depending on what time you choose. so that these conversations can always be talked about. We want a situation where our media people are trained so that they even know how to report about these issues, because sometimes you find that, okay, the media people want to talk about it, but they don't have the adequate capacity, they don't have the training to talk about the issues. They don't know the difference between, for example, if you're talking about a child, is it exploitation, what words, what language to use. And this is where constant communication and interaction and engagement with CSOs is so important. Okay, what I'll say is, we learn every day, and every new day is an opportunity to get better, to learn better. So whether it's training you need, but if you know better and you're not doing better, that's a problem. But there are so many organizations that are willing, for example, the Clean Foundation is willing to train, journalists to be able to report appropriately. What are we saying? Protect the identity of minors, protect the identity of survivors, because these people are going to be reintegrated back into their communities. If you plaster their faces on media, whether it's print or social media, you are harming them, you are harming their families, you are harming their communities, because they won't be able to go back to those communities. They'll be stigmatized and they'll be traumatized for a very long time. Okay, I think we all need to pay attention. We must be alert. There are so many bad people who are just willing to take advantage of the fact that, okay, so there's poverty in the land, and a lot of people are looking for a better way. And for some of these people, a better way means traveling abroad. Let's pay attention to children. Let's pay attention to our neighbors' children. Let's pay attention to the schools, because anybody can be a victim. We need the right knowledge. And another thing to the media is we need a reorientation, if you like, because the more messages are in our ears, the more the problem that we need to face head on. My name is Soye Mosakwe. I'm a gender consultant with the Mirabel Center.
Well, first and foremost, what they should do is first, they have to work in line with government to bring up policies that will strictly deal with the traffickers. Now, another thing is that they also have to work with government to ensure that there is quality education and also reduce poverty rates. Because one of the reasons why you have high level of child trafficking is as a result of poverty, starvation, and hunger in the land. When a man or a woman that has 2 children and it's finding difficult to feed those children and even talk less of herself, the next option he looks at is, somebody comes that I will take your child to Lagos and then he will go to school and this and that. The person is not ready to know the other story is, go, because of the poverty in the land. And so that is now, like I said, it's not all about enacting laws, stiffer laws to penalize people. But how effective is the government in humanitarian services? Because those are the things that would also make people, like for instance, I am living at least semi-comfortable, and somebody walks up to me and tell me he needs my daughter or he needs my son. I'll tell you, oh, no, not to worry, I'm okay. I can take care of it. I can take care of them. It's not an issue. But whereby those things are not there, that person begins to look for any means. And then when you tell there's one thing. Hunger is very, very, very. See, anybody that has not been hungry, will not really understand what I'm saying. When you are hungry to the level that you even if you see fly, you want to eat it, then you will now understand that the person that is selling his child or her child is not doing it out of clear eyes, but as a result of survivor, because there is nothing for she to feed on. So if government of the day can actually go back to the policies. Now, what am I talking about? Make the economy lighter, make the economy friendly for everybody. In Nigeria now, we don't have middle class any longer. We don't have lower class. Now everybody is in poverty state. So in such country, you see anything can fly. I used to remember back then in the 90s, when you hear that somebody is talking about selling his child, people say, it's a taboo. But today it's something, it's so rampant. You hear people commit suicide as a result of hunger. Are you getting me? So these are things we've not been seeing in Nigeria before. But because of the economy. That is why all these things are happening.
Thank you very much, sir. Your name, sir?
My name is Abazo Tobechukwu Kingsley.
Thank you. I hope so you watch out.